Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taormina.
Welcome to OAA Now. Here I'm Sammy Taormina, blogger around the OAA, the host of Last Week Brain Cells, and the host of Pink Taormina's and Orion Television. I'd like to welcome those watching on the local voice on SoundCloud and those watching on Orion Television. A lot to break down this week. We got a new football coach over at Ferndale. We're going to break that one down. My thoughts on that. The Ferndale, of course, having a new football coach here. And also, we're going to break down what's been going around in the basketball world. It looks like, you know what I mean, like, it's starting to break everything down a little bit, starting to get an idea who the top teams are, who are the teams to beat, obviously. And then, of course, we're looking deeper into the postseason conversation. I've started to write a lot of those down a little bit. So we're going to break all that down. I know a lot of Lions fans are very much suffering after what happened against them, Washington. So I want to give out my sympathies to Lions fans after what happened in the game on Saturday night against Washington. So I want to give out my sympathies to every Lions fan there. Not sure about Red Wing fans because of what happened against my hockey team, my beloved Dallas Stars. So, but my shout out to Detroit Lions fans. I will guarantee you next year when we're on this air, I think the Lions will be in the Super Bowl next year. So just giving you guys that much hope and faith right now, saying that to Lions fans. So we'll go that from there. So that's my vow. I think next year, Lion fans, you're going to be in the Super Bowl next year. I'm guaranteeing it right now. Let's go now to some football news. Obviously, as I mentioned, Donovan Jackson's the new head coach at Ferndale, confirmed by the D-Zone and Jeff Corrin. Takes over Coach Eric Royal. When you look at this move here, you kind of think about, okay, the divisions are out. Is this a perfect fit for Ferndale for them, especially considering that they lost a lot of experience last year? Now, Jackson did play at Ferndale. He's a 2012 alum. He played, he was a running back and also played defensive back as well. So he does know the community very well. Very similar to that Eric Royal, who was a player at Ferndale. Of course, he taught at Ferndale. He teaches at Ferndale University. So now you look at with this move, obviously a former player, knows the system in and out. It's basically a new team he's going to take over. And, and I think, that's really going to be what it is, considering last year they lost a lot of experience. They lost a lot of talent. So basically Jackson's going to have a new team. And you really look at, he's going to have a new team. So it's basically going to be, he's starting over from scratch now, and basically, you got to look at, of course, the numbers now. With the numbers, what helps Ferndale is, of course, they're a co-op team. So there is between them and Ferndale University, you look at that enrollment and say to yourself, okay, now we're going to have the numbers. We're in D2 for football. So now you're going to ask yourself this. If you're Jackson, how do you look at your week 1 and your week 9 scenario? You really got to look at it and say, okay, we're playing up, we're going to have to play. Could you follow a path that Juan Rickman took and play a vicious schedule and early non-conference and then you go from there? Or you take an approach where you get some wins, get some confidence in you, and go from there? So there are so many question marks here for Coach Jackson. Is where does he go with this program? There is a lot of question marks. What's going to have him in his favor is you look at the division he's going to be in. When you look at the gold division, you look at, of course, Pontiac's a team that's rebuilding. They lost their quarterback. There's going to be some questions surrounding Coach Wendell Jefferson's team. There's going to be questions at Avondale, considering they lost their coach, Bob Meyer. Now they're going to have to go through a complete transition, going from most likely the wing T offense to a different system on both sides of football. So that's going to be a question mark for them going forward. Then you look at Berkeley. Berkeley's going through. They went through a transition period this year. They should be better, but there are some questions with the Bears going forward next season. And then there's Royal Oak. Royal Oak's a team that you don't know what you're going to get with them. I mean, you look at Royal Oak and you think to yourself, okay, when is the year that they're going to break out? And they haven't really done that, but there's certainly a chance that they could break out and have a nice year. But when you look at the division Ferndale's in, that division looks extremely winnable. And especially with everything that's been going on at Avondale, that division really kind of opens up the door for Ferndale. But Ferndale has some concerns when you look at what's going on with, they lost a lot of talent a year ago. You're basically a brand new team. And that's really what Ferndale is they're basically a brand new team, and they got to have, and, when you look at the situation they're in, you got to replace almost your entire defense. You got to replace your offense. Your line. You got to get numbers in there, basically. And, if you can get numbers in there, get them up to speed to what you want to do. And now you got to put in your system and your stuff in there. That's going to be a challenge for Ferndale. It's going to be a big, big challenge for them going forward. And you look at what the scenario is for them is going to look like is, they're going to have to use the, this month, February, March, get accustomed to what I learned about. A lot of those kids also at Ferndale, they also do spring sports. When you look at sports like track and field, you look at some do baseball. Some do baseball. And I think that's going to be interesting to see where Ferndale can get their athletes, considering, considering what track and field and baseball going on there. And then, of course, you have the summer months. And then, of course, you're right in the fall and football season starting up. So it's going to be an interesting transition period for Jackson. What helps is that he knows the system. He knows the community. And that's going to help a team like Ferndale going forward is that relationship within the community. And I think that's going to be very important. Has to be very important for Jackson, considering, you look at the division you're in, you have a chance to do very, very well. And I think you have a chance to maybe have a chance to at least try to get back into the postseason, trying to get back into, what you did last year under Coach Royal. They got in the postseason after a couple rough years. I remember that year, the years when Ferndale went 32-8 in the late 2010s, where Ferndale was a team that really showed their will and their strengths. Now, they won one league title out of that, but being in the playoffs, they were in Division II, obviously, because of the co-op program they have with Ferndale University. So, if I'm Jackson, I would look at maybe playing D2, maybe a D2, a D1 type non-conference schedule, because one, that'll help you out in the long haul. Two, that'll get you guys mentally ready for when you have to play in the playoffs. Because when I looked at the playoff scenario for Ferndale, when they had to play Groves, they had to play a Seaholm. That's difficult matchups because they don't play those type of teams in that division. And, you look at the teams that are in, D1, D2, when you look at teams like Berkeley, Royal Oak, they're not, they don't match up really well with those teams that Ferndale has to see in the playoffs. I mean, like, so basically, if I'm them, I'm looking at maybe week 1, maybe playing a D1 or a D2 type team, and then going to play maybe week 9, going to play I would say it has to be a very tough team that they have to play because one, if you can get a team that has at least like 7, 8 wins on your docket, you know what I mean? That'll help you playoff point wise. I mean, like it has to be maybe a 7-8 D1 team, maybe. And I think that'll help them going forward. But they gotta get like somebody. They gotta play a tough team. They gotta play. They gotta play at least like in the weeks 1 and week 9 component. They've got to because if they don't, you're looking at that division. That's not helping them at all. So when I look at Ferndale's situation, they're kind of in a tough spot. But but when you look at it, if they can win games against teams that are D1, D2 caliber, then I think they could be. I think Jackson could get this team clicking on the right cylinders, and I think it'll be a good start for them if they can get that. If they could turn things around and quick. Obviously going through that transition period is going to be virtually a young team. So, for Ferndale, with Jackson there, he's an alum. That helps a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with the team. Does he keep some of the same stuff that Royal likes to do? Obviously, they like to be a spread team. I know a lot of those teams in the Gold like to run power football a lot. I don't think it's a good idea, but I really would like to see teams open it up a little bit more in that division. And Royal really tried that, and he did a really nice job with that. And, so that'll be really interesting to see what Jackson does within that situation there. So we'll see what happens there. Other coaching jobs available, obviously Avondale. Avondale, I think when you look at them, they're in that. It's an interesting situation. Bob Meyer stepping down. He brought in the wing T offense there. So I'm curious to see who will be the guy over there. Does he change it up? Does he like go back to a system to where Avondale's been accustomed to, mostly with the spread look, with the using their athletes? Now Avondale's gonna be a much different team than they are. When they had under in the past. I mean, obviously you look at the Steve Deutsch era, you look at the Ed Coterier era, where they like to spread out, run a lot of athletes. Now, Avondale, they're not. It'll be a different Avondale team, I think. Obviously, they lose a lot of those athletes. It's going to be a challenge for them going forward. So, I'm curious to see who takes over there. How does he change the middle school ranks, obviously? Does he keep the wing T over there at Avondale? That's the big question I'm going forward, whoever takes the job there. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you're going to have athletes there. You're going to have kids there. It's just the question is it the right fit, the right philosophy? That's the big question I have with Avondale when it comes to finding that right guy. And this is a team that won the Gold Division last year. They won the Gold. So when I look at the situation here with Avondale, they are a team. They're programmed to where, they can sustain success even with a different coach in there. So they've done a really nice job. Now they have a new athletic director in there. So that's going to be interesting to see where Avondale goes with their coaching search. Who wants to take the job there? I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what direction they go with their coach. So that'll be something to really watch for with Avondale once they have their new coach in place. So that'll be something to really, really watch for there. And then another job to keep an eye on is at Bloomfield Hills. And when you look at the Blackhawks situation, their vacancy, Dan Loria was there a long time. He was at Bloomfield Hills a long time. Coached at Losser, Led them, I think, led them to a state semifinal appearance. Before the merger with them and Andover. Then they became Bloomfield Hills. He ended up being the head coach. Basically led them to, I think, 3 postseason appearances. I know they had a really good quarterback in John Paddock a couple years ago. They loved that spread offense, but then recently they've had some struggles. So basically, when I look at Bloomfield Hills, and what hurts them is they're in the white, and being in that division where you're going up against, actually they were in the blue this year. They're going up against some good competition when you look at it. Bloomfield Hills is a very interesting spot because you look at the kids for football. I mean, they have really, really struggled. And I think a lot of that is the talent over there has not been as good as, in years past. And you look at Bloomfield Hills, they're a D1 school competing in the third division. That is tough in the blue. That's tough. I mean, you look at Troy Athens, they're in the same situation. So when I look at this job, I ask myself this: if you're going to be a guy that wants to come in there, you're going to have to do you toughen the schedule up? Do you make it easier considering, but the problem is if you ease up the schedule, your non-conference, you're going to get wins, but that's not going to guarantee you a playoff spot. That's not going to guarantee you that anymore. You look at a course in the past, if you get 6 wins, you're guaranteed a playoff spot. But that's not the case now because now that you look at strength of schedule as a big-time component. So when I look at Bloomfield Hills' situation, you look at and say to yourself, okay, if you're the athletic director over there, you're kind of in a tough spot because, you got to look at it from a perspective of results, but you got to also look at, of course, what's going on with your team. So, and you look at in football, it's a results-driven league. And, you look at it with Bloomfield Hills, considering, the talent pool there, the program strength component there. I mean, it was clear, there was something was amiss over there. And you look at that record and say to yourself, you look at that division as well. I mean, you got a team like Seaholm in there. You got Troy. You got Troy Athens. You have North Farmington. And you look at, of course, there's some good teams in that division. And you say to yourself, can I compete with them? You have to compete with them. But the question's going to be is, what type of players are you going to get over there? And the question is, can they be coached over there? That's the question. I mean, that's the big time question when I look at who's ever going to get the Bloomfield Hills job. They've got to be ready to go right away. You change the offense. You change the defense. I mean, there's going to have to be some changes. Something was not working over there at Bloomfield Hills under Loria. And, so whoever gets that job at Bloomfield Hills is going to have to be ready to change everything over there. Because if there's a team that needs like a full-fledged rebuild, it's Bloomfield Hills. I don't really see a full-fledged rebuild at Avondale. And at Ferndale, I really don't see it. So, at Ferndale, it comes down to numbers. Avondale, I don't think they need a full-fledged rebuild. I think they need stability there. And then at Bloomfield Hills, they obviously need a full-fledged, complete rebuild. They really do over there. Because I don't know if I see a coach coming in there year one, turning his team around and going in there winning at least 6-7 ball games. I don't see that. Not when you're in a division with Seaholm, Troy Athens, North Farmington, and Farmington. I mean, those are really dangerous quality teams in there. So if you're Bloomfield Hills, you're gonna have I think you're gonna have a really tough time, no matter who the new coach is. And I think a lot of people are really sick and tired of hearing the word patience over there. Um, I think that team, that fan base over there, they're ready to see a winner over there. But the question is, they got to find the right guy to do it, and I think that's gonna be the question. Um, how things are gonna be over there, over at Bloomfield Hills. So a lot to look at, a lot of things to keep an eye on as we head forward into the football coaching searches. I know for sure, obviously Avondale and Bloomfield Hills are now the two teams that are looking for new coaches over there. So we'll see what happens with those searches going forward there. Now let's go to some basketball. Obviously, we're going to go with the girls' side first here. League plays already started up. You're kind of getting an idea where every team is. Obviously, in the gold division, they haven't started league play yet. I kind of think when I look at that division, I think to myself, if there's a team that I think could be really dangerous, I think Ferndale University, to me, is the best team in that division. I really like what their coaching staff has done. Beanie's done a nice job over there. I think when you look at Ferndale University, the way they're playing, you really got to you have to think where they were at last year. They were in a really difficult spot. They didn't even win a game last year. And now they've won 7 games. That says a lot. That's a credit to them, but it's also a credit to the coaching staff, and it's also credit to the players for turning that thing around over there at Ferndale U. Now, will it guarantee district success? Probably not. But right now, they're the number 2 seed in the NPR right now behind only Ferndale trails them. Ferndale plays a ridiculous non-conference. And they're in the red. They're sitting in a really tough spot right now at 0-2 right now. So, Ferndale U is in a really nice spot. I don't like where Farmington's at right now. I surely don't like where Oak Park's at right now, considering they've only scored 38 points in 4 games. I think you got to play more games, obviously. Pontiac, they've won 3 straight. I give Coach Christopher Wright a lot of credit. I got to give Pontiac a lot of credit. I mean, they're getting confidence. Now, albeit the competition's not been the greatest, but that's a team that needs competence. And I think for them, competence is a big, big factor for them. If they want to turn things around, competence is going to be a big time thing right now. When I look at a team like Farmington, they have not looked very good. They didn't look very good against Waterford. And they did not look good in their last game either. I mean, so for Farmington, they're in a tough, if you're coaching Andy Nolak, that's a tough spot for you right now. That's a really difficult spot. So they're in a tough pickle right now. Now, are they still the favorite in the division? Yes, but I can't guarantee that now, considering the way that Ferndale University's been playing. So, University, when I look at the division right now, if I had to pick a team right now who would be the favorite in that division, you got to look at Ferndale University as the team to beat in that gold division, considering the way that they've been playing. I think Pontiac's the second best team in that division. Farmington's third, Oak Park fourth, and really, that's just how you describe the division right now. As Ferndale University, I think, has the most to gain, the most opportune time. If they win the gold this year, that would be a heck of an accomplishment for them, considering, they're one of the smallest schools in the league, and they have done a magnificent job building up that program and just turning things around over there. So, really, that's the credit where credit's due when you look at Ferndale University, is the way that they've been playing. So, a lot to look at with the Eagles, a lot to like with them. Experience matters, and Ferndale University, they're a team that has it right now. They really are. Let's look at the blue now. Avondale coming off a tough one to Clarkson at the MLK Classic at West Bloomfield. I'm not pressing the panic button on this team. I'm really not, considering where they're at. I like what Roy's done over there. Roy's done a nice job building that team up. The only concern I have is, can this team stay healthy? That's the big concern I have with them. Obviously you look at the NPR side of things right now when it comes to that district with Clarkson, Lake Orion, Avondale, and Waterford. I still think, if you had to put Lake Orion and Avondale in a rematch, it would be really interesting to see how that one goes. I still think, if Lake Orion had their most healthiest team there, I think Lake Orion would, they match up pretty well with Avondale. But when you look at Avondale as a team right now, I think Avondale's a dangerous team right now. They're very dangerous despite that loss. They gave everything they could handle. But, when you look at Avondale, I think they needed a game like that against Clarkson. They needed to be humbled. I mean, they were just humming along. They were humming along ever since that Salem loss. Just gaining confidence. But then that Clarkson loss really, I think it might be the best thing that happened to him. And I'm not being mean to Roy's team here. I think his team's very good. But that might have been the best thing that happened to him, is they say, wait a minute, we got to get back to what we've been doing. We got to get back to what we can fix. And I think they're going to be okay. Berkeley's a team that I really like a lot when I look at them. I mean, you look at the play of Boswell, you look at the play of Wintergarten, you look at the play of, they've got weapons everywhere. They've got proven players everywhere where they can do some damage. I mean, Coach Clay Shaver's done a really nice job with that team. And I think that Lake Orion game is going to be really interesting on Tuesday night. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how they match up against a red opponent. Now, albeit, yes, Lake Orion's a very young team, but it's still Lake Orion. It's still a well-proud team under Coach Bob Bridges. So I think it'll be an interesting matchup to see how that game goes between the Bears and the Dragons. But Berkeley right now is in a really, really good spot. And I think Berkeley's a team that, they're a team on the rise, and I think they're a team that could really do some damage. They will have Avondale again. I think they got to go to Berkeley, which should be a really interesting matchup down there for Avondale against Berkeley. So, and that one went overtime, so double overtime. So we'll see how that one goes. And then you look at Adams. Adams coming off a really terrible loss to Harper Woods. Now, I'll have, and also a tough one to Avondale, but Adams has been really competitive. I mean, really, really competitive. I am looking forward to having Adams coach Joe Mulberg here on the podcast next week. We're going to talk about his team. We're going to talk about everything going around Adams. We have that district we're going to talk about. Also, a lot of boys basketball stuff. Talk about him next week. Just to see where everything is right now. And when I look at Adams right now, I'm not pressing the panic button on Adams. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be okay. So I'm not pressing any panic buttons on them yet. Troy Athens, I just can't figure this team out. I just can't figure Athens out. I just can't figure him out. I mean, there's times they look good, and there's times going like, what are you doing? So it's like watching a Scooby-Doo episode describing Troy Athens. That's really what it is. It's like watching a mystery. Troy Athens is a complete mystery team. They really are. There's some players I like on that team. I mean, I think that can get them over the top. But to me, Coach J.C. Klim's team is like the perfect Scooby-Doo team. I mean, if you watch Scooby-Doo on Cartoon Network or on Boomerang, you watch every mystery, that's Troy Athens for you. That's really Troy Athens. Because you don't know what you're going to get with them. Are you going to get good Troy Athens? Or are you going to get bad Troy Athens? You don't know what you're going to get. So that's a question mark right there. A&T defense is still an issue with them. Offense is good. I mean, defense is a big question mark for Coach Shakita Cochran. Big time question mark for them. I've been saying it for weeks now. For weeks. This team still gives up a ton of points. That's a big no-no. North Farmington, they're a very young group. Very young team. They're going to be fine. I mean, they're going through lumps right now. They're taking a lot of lumps. Coach Michael Lawlins' team's going to be fine. I really like their guards. They're young, but I think they got a lot of potential. Harper Woods right now sits, I think, at I know their record says 5-1, but I know they've had to forfeit 2 games in the league. So Harper Woods right now, I would say they're starting to click, but I just still can't trust Harper Woods. I can't trust them right now. I really can't. Considering what they've been through, they've had to forfeit almost in their entire month of December. I want to see more from Harper Woods before they pass my eyeball test. I mean, I want to see more from them. That's clear as day. So, my take in the white, obviously, Avondale's the top team. Berkeley's 2. Adams, despite their losses, I think they're 3. I think, Harper Woods, I got North Farmington last. I got Harper Woods. Troy Athens is my mystery team, and then A&T right there. So A&T my 4, Athens 5, Harper Woods 6, North Farmington 7. So really that's my take in the blue right now as, based on the mystery of that division. I still think Avondale and Berkeley are right now the top 2 teams in that division. So we'll see what happens going forward there. The white, Seaholm, to me, is still the cream of the crop. They had trouble with Bloomfield Hills, though. I kind of go like, oh, no, here we go again. But they found a way to get the revenge. I mean, Bloomfield Hills has been like a kryptonite to them. Seaholm's like Superman, and Bloomfield Hills is like Lex Luthor. I don't know what it is. Considering, they had like kryptonite. I mean, it's clear as day that Bloomfield Hills has become Seaholm's kryptonite. It really has. I don't know why. So, I think it'll be a good episode for Seaholm to watch. Maybe watch some Superman animation series, I think. But they're right now clicking. But I think for them, it comes down to is, can they be consistent? Especially when you look at their district going forward. They just got to keep getting better. But it's clear as day, though. Bloomfield Hills is Seaholm's kryptonite. I don't know why. I just don't know why. I mean, considering last year, they beat them to share the white title last year. Then, in the district final, they got them again. And then this year, they almost got them again. So, I don't know what it is. I think it's the kryptonite. I think Bloomfield Hills, it's clear Bloomfield Hills is Seaholm's kryptonite, despite Bloomfield Hills' struggles. Really is. Bloomfield Hills is really struggling right now. I mean, they rely a lot on Brianna Young. They rely a lot on Gio Hassad. I mean, they're struggling right now. It's clear as day they're struggling. Rochester's been playing well lately. Alice Max got her 1,000th career point. Rochester's a team I don't think a lot of people want to see right now. The way that Alice Max is playing. They get guard play there, they're dangerous. And it looks like they've gotten some guard play a little bit. Royal Oak got a nice win the other night against Groves. But Lucy Furtex is doing a lot right now for Coach Brian Spada's team. That's scary. That's not good. Relying a lot on Furtex, that's a scary thought. Then you look at, then there's Troy. Oh boy. Troy is a very interesting team. Because Diamond Princess just came back But it looks like, according to Guzman, to Coach Laura Guzman, it looks like she's going to be out again, and that's not a good sign if you're Troy, because Prince has basically been your offensive juggernaut. She really has been. Reagan Zeider's had her moment. She's looked good. Macy Zeider's been, I don't know how to describe Macy, because there's been games she looks really good, and then she had a nice game the other night against against Royal Oak, but she did not look great against Seaholm. But I really think, you look at Macy Zeider, it's just the consistency with her. It's going to be the question mark. Kelsey Block's been up and down as well. So I think for Troy, if Prince goes down again, where's the offense going to come from? And they're going to clearly struggle when you look at with Troy without Diamond Prince. I mean, like, it's clear as day. You look at that Oxford game where Prince really struggled, and where Prince didn't play in that one. Troy really struggled. How they really struggled. So, so there's something there that, Troy needs Diamond Prince. But if she goes out again for a long extended period of time, that could be a big problem going forward. And then with Groves, obviously Harlan Simpson, JC Roy are the two that Groves going to have to rely upon to win games. So, if you coach Jessica Dubla, the importance of Simpson and Roy on the floor is going to be huge for them going forward. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're going to see what happens with Troy, with them Groves, and we'll see what happens to them. So, when I look at the division right now in the white, I think it's going to be, it's Seaholm, then Rochester, Royal Oak, Troy, then Bloomfield Hills. So really, that's that's what it looks like right now in the white, and then in the red. To me, it looks like Clarkson's the best team in this division. I mean, yes, West Bloom might have a case. I mean, considering they've been playing better, but Clarkson to me is the best team in this division. Clearly, when you look at players like Eliana Roback, Brooklyn Covert, both of them have been playing really well lately for Clarkson. When you look at, and then obviously you got some spotty contributions from Marley Mazar. You look at, Lam Wagner's, Elliot Hernandez is another one. They don't really have a consistent third scorer behind Roback and Colbert. So, but they do have depth, but do foul a lot, which is a big problem for Coach Aaron Goodnow if they get into some foul trouble. West Bloom, as I mentioned, the play of London, and I'm Sheridan Beal. That's going to be the key going forward for West Bloomfield. Then the Gamble Jones sisters as well. If they all play as a cohesive unit, that could be a serious problem for a lot of the teams in the division. So, Taylor McAllister's got that thing turned around a little bit, which is a good sign for them. Ferndale, I just don't know how to explain with them. It's just, they're coming off tough losses to West Bloomfield and Clarkson. I know both teams are very good teams. I just worry about the morale over there. And I think that's something to really, really watch for Coach Keith Parris's team is, they're not a D team to begin with. And, and I think that could be the problem for them is, youth and experience. So we'll see what happens with them. So, but clear to me with Ferndale, if they start struggling more and more in the red, it might have been a decision to regret. I don't know. We'll see. Stony Creek had to survive. Didn't play well against West Bloomfield last week on Tuesday night, losing by 7. Had to survive Oxford by 3. Of course, I heard a rumor about Coach Columbus Williams. He got tossed in that game. Wouldn't be able to coach on Monday when they play Macomb Dakota, which that's a big loss. Now Macomb Dakota's not the same team they used to be in years past. But Stony Creek has been a hard team to figure out. Really, really hard team to figure out with them. And, and obviously, Merrick Schlaubeck, you have the Avash sisters. I mean, really, that's the big question I have for them going forward is can they, sustain? That's the big question for Stony Creek going forward is sustainability there with them. Lake Orion, when I look at the Dragons, obviously Izzy Walensky, she needs help, though. Who's that secondary scorer for Coach Bob Bridges? Supposed to be Charlotte Poplawski. She's been very inconsistent. I know Lala Hill's had some moments where she's looked good. Kara Vita's had some moments she looked good. I think the problem for Lake Orion right now is there not a lot of experience on the floor right now. There's just not. I mean, a lot of young talent on there, it's basically being put trial by fire. That's really what it is right now. If you're Coach Bob Bridges, is trial by fire. If you're the Dragons, that's really what it is. So that's got to be something to be. If you're Coach Bridges, you're going through it right now. You're relying a lot on Walensky. But you gotta have a Robin. I mean, it's clear. You gotta have a Robin. It's supposed to be Poplawski, but I know there's been moments where she's looked good and there's moments she hasn't been. So if you're Lake Orion, you gotta basically, you gotta find that consistent secondary scorer to help alongside Walensky. Is it Veter? Is it Hill? I mean, it's gotta be, or is it Poplawski? It's gotta be one of those three. The carry, it's gotta be one of those three. You know what I mean? Could it be a Riley House? I mean, could it be a Danny Heck? I mean, there's just so many questions right now. Like Orion, is can this team find a Robin to Walensky's Batman? That's really what it is. For if you're Coach Bob Bridges, that's really what it is. And then there's Oxford. Oxford, obviously, they've been struggling. But they've been playing good ball lately. I mean, 40 points, over 40 points in the last 2 games is pretty good. Obviously, the play of Mia Champagne, Allison Upsedler, and Sophia Robb. Brittany Cardona's starting to break out a little bit. Emma Buggs has been playing better. For Oxford, it's just going through the motions right now. That's really what it is for them. So, when I look at Oxford, I think they're fine. I'm not pressing the panic button right now with them. So, when I look at the division right now in the red, I think it's Clarkson, West Bloomfield. I would say Stony Creek, Ferndale, Lake Orion, Oxford. That's really what it is right now, what I'm looking at. Now, that could change if Lake Orion plays Ferndale coming up. If Lake Orion can somehow, be a different team, obviously you gotta obviously take the workload off of Walensky. That's not easy to do. So, Lake Orion just played Orchard Lake St. Mary's, and we know that's a brutal matchup in its own rights. So, we'll see how that one goes. But Lake Orion's clearly a team to watch for as we head in the week this week. So, we'll see what happens with them. Let's go now from girls to boys. When I look at the blue right now, I still think Pontiac is the team to beat. They've been playing really good ball lately. I mean, Pontiac, obviously, with J.J. Claudio. Pontiac has been just really... They've been a team that really has, in that blue, they've been dominant. But Rochester's right there. I mean, yes, Pontiac did destroy Rochester earlier in the year, but that was without Jake Tandy. With Tandy, they're a much different team. I mean, they rely a lot on Max Molikarian. And, you look at Rochester right now, they're starting to turn things around a little bit, and that's a good sign for them. That's a real good sign for them. So if you're Coach Nicobola, you think to yourself, okay, we might have a chance at this thing. We just got to go beat Pontiac. We just got to beat them. So right now, I would say Rochester, if you're Rochester, you're fine. I'm not pressing the panic button yet. I'm not pressing the panic button. But Pontiac right now is still a team to beat in that division. They really are. Then you look at, Stony Creek. Stony Creek's an interesting team. Bloomfield Hills is really starting to get back in the thick of it. Stony Creek, when I look at the Cougars, different guys stepping up in different times, and that's a great sign if you're Coach Jeff Owen. I think if Stony Creek can somehow turn things around, I mean, get contributions from different guys each night, they're a dangerous team. Bloomfield Hills, they're getting their act together after a mental mindset. They've had a real rough mental mindset. So we'll see what happens with them. I think they're starting to get back into it. Royal Oak, they're starting to get back to bad Royal Oak again. It's a consistency problem with them. That could spell trouble. Really, really spell trouble. Royal Oak, Ferndale University, nice win against Berkeley the other night, 56-49 at Little Caesars Arena. Ferndale University has done a really nice job under Coach Josh Nix. They've done a really nice job. And then there's Berkeley. I don't know what to describe Berkeley. Injuries, inconsistencies, being a young team. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Something's amiss over there. Really is. It really is. So, see what happens. So when I look at the division overall, Pontiac is still my favorite. I really like where they're at right now. Now, they're going to get tested in a couple weeks. I know they got to play Oxford, which I think they could be a serious threat to end that undefeated streak Oxford's got right now. Then I would say Rochester, then Bloomfield Hills, then Stony Creek. So those are my top four in the division right now. Followed by Royal Oak, Ferndale University, and then Berkeley. So that's really where I think I'm leaning right now when I look at the division. Oh, and also A&T. A&T, Southfield just got a nice win against Wyoming Lee. They're sitting at 4-10. So when I look at the division, I gotta put A&T. I'm putting A&T between Ferndale University and Royal Oak. So I'm putting A&T there in that conversation. So I've got Pontiac, Rochester, Bloomfield Hills, Stony Creek, Royal Oak, Southfield Arts and Tech, Ferndale University, Berkeley. That's really what I'm looking at right now when I look at that division. Actually, take that back. Ferndale University did beat A&T, so I got to put A&T on top, Ferndale U on top of A&T. So really overall, kind of got my things here confused for some reason, but Pontiac, Rochester, Bloomfield Hills, Stony Creek, Royal Oak, Ferndale U, A&T, Berkeley. That's really what it is right now when I look at the blue right now. In the red, basically, it is a complete mess right now. Avondale, I think, is honestly the best team in that division because of they have wins against Clarkston and Groves. They beat both of them. Then, you look at Groves. Groves just knocked off Clarkston. Had a real questionable loss to Ferndale. Ferndale's played better. I mean, they're playing better, which is a good sign for them. Adams has been struggling. West Bloomfield, defense still optional over there. So when I look at the division right now, I would, in the North Farmington, they've been very up and down. So when I look at the division right now, I kind of think when I look at this team and its division, I still think the team to beat right now looks to be is Avondale. Avondale's played, I think, the best of the division right now. They out of all the teams in this division, they have played the best. And you look at guys like you got Clayton there, you got Bush there, you got Jacoby Loris there, you got Justin Greer Sykes there. They got athletes who can shoot the ball. They got shooters. They got athletes who can guard people. Jared Thomas done a nice job of that team. He's done a really nice job. So when I look at Avondale, there's no reason why they shouldn't win the division. They've proven they belong. Now they got to go to Groves, which that's going to be interesting when they go to Beverly Hills. But you know, I think they can match up pretty well when they go to Beverly Hills. I know they got Clarkson coming to Auburn Hills. You know, Clarkson's going to be motivated. And then you still got to go through North. You got to go through West Bloomfield. You got to go through Adams. I mean, it's not an easy slate for them. Not an easy slate at all. But Avondale to me looks clearly as to me they're the best team in this division. They really are. Groves, I think, is the second best team. Obviously, you got Simpson, Gibson, Hubbard, McKinley. I mean, they're senior heavy this year. I mean, they have some moments they looked really good. The Ferndale game, I got to give a shout out to Josh Simpson. I think he scored his I think he broke the all-time record at Groves when it comes to most points scored. I gave a shout out there. When I look at Groves, could they threaten Birmingham Brother Rice? Now, I talked to Sean Cotter about Groves. He doesn't think that they can beat Brother Rice. I severely disagree with that comment because I think they can. I think Coach Mark West's team can. You know, I think they got a great chance to win that district. Really do. Really do. So when I look at Groves, they're fine. I'm not pressing any panic buttons or any concerns with them. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. And then there's Clarkson. Clarkson has not looked as crisp, I think it would. Now, against Walled Lake Western, played their final game at Clarkson Junior High School on the old gym over there. A lot of memories over there. Had no issue with Walled Lake Western destroying them. When I look at the Wolves, and I really think with them, Call's got to play well. Quinn Rosenberg's got to play well. They got, I said Cole Charter. He's got to play well. Hayden Flavin's got to play well. I mean, like, they play well. It's just the question for me, for them, is going to be is who's going to step up in their bench if they get into foul trouble. That's really what the question is for Coach Jim Wasili. It's really what the question is for them. But the game against Groves, you know, it was a battle, up and down battle. But still some questions when I look at Clarkston. There still is. We'll see. See with them. West Bloomfield, defense. I mean, they gave up 58 against Avenue. Still not very good. Defensively is where Coach Arnett Jordan's team could face some struggles. That's scary. Really is. Adams, they're battling. They've been very competitive. Even in their losses, they've been very competitive. I think Coach Isaiah Novak's team's going to be fine. They're going to be okay. Ferndale, they've been playing much better. Much better. I mean, it looks like they're starting to turn things around a little bit. I mean, Torrento Adams starting to play better. And Vineyard's starting to play better. I mean, you look at with Ferndale, obviously a lot of those things go through Vineyard. That's the big question for Coach Juan Rickman. Can they get consistency heading into districts? Because you know Ferndale's going to be staring at Warren Lincoln. And we know how good Warren Lincoln is. We know how good they are. So on the red I got right now, I would say, and then there's North Farmington, as we mentioned, consistency. They're as good as Rob Smith takes them. That's really what it is. They had a rough loss to Troy Cass Tech earlier in the week. So we'll see what happens with them. So when I look at the red right now, I would have to say Avondale 1, Groves 2, Clarkson 3, North Farmington 4, West Bloomfield 5, Actually, take it back. Let me go. Abner 1, Groves 2, Clarkson 3, Ferndale 4, North Farmington 5, West Bloomfield 6, Adams 7. That's really what it is right now when I look at that division. So we'll see what happens. Now we'll go to the white. Oxford right now, still unbeaten at 13-0, but they didn't look great against Athens. So, gotta wonder if that could be a warning sign there. It's 41-28. Now, albeit Athens has got some scoring problems, 53 points the last 2 games, not going to get done. But defensively, they're still a dangerous team. But Oxford, they're right now unbeaten right now. They got some tough ones coming up, though. Got to go to Lake Orion, got to go to Farmington. Got Pontiac coming on there. So really tough 3 games coming up for them. Tough stretch for them. Lake Orion, Zach Parks, 42 points against Notre Dame Prep. That's huge for the Dragons. That's huge. If Lake Orion can get everybody clicking all cylinders, look out. They're more than capable. More than capable of doing that. And if everybody's clicking, look out. Troy, obviously Mason Parker. They went double overtime with Seaholm. Tell you, Seaholm's better than 1-11 record indicates. I like where Seaholm's at, despite the record. They got some players on that team. When you look at Troy, obviously Mason Parker, Andrew Lake has really played well, has gotten better. Leo Panoz has really gotten better for them. Coach Gary Frelick's got the guards figured out. It's just the interior is a big question mark for them. Troy Athens, obviously offense has been a problem for them, as I mentioned. And then you look at Seaholm, obviously they're better than the record indicates. They're going to be fine. I'm not worried about them right now. We're not worried about, despite the record, I think they're going to be fine. They're going to be okay. Oak Park, they're struggling. They're struggling. Harper Woods, really struggling. Then there's Farmington. Farmington bounced back after 2 tough losses to Lake Orion and Oxford. They're going to be fine. I think Farmington's going to be fine. They got the team ball thing figured out. I really like where they're at right now. I think they're going to be okay. So when I look at the division right now, I think Oxford's schedule, their toughest is yet to come. I really think that because they got some tough games coming up. Farmington, I think they got Lake Orion and Oxford coming there to Farmington. So I think the division race is still wide open. When I look at this division, I think it's still between 3 teams right now. I think Troy's their X factor. I still think it's Oxford, Lake Orion, Farmington. Farmington right now is 2 games back. 3 games back of Oxford. So when I look at the division right now, I would have to say Oxford right now is the 1, Lake Orion's 2, Farmington 3, Troy 4, Troy Athens 5. I would rank Seaholm 6 over Oak Park and Harper Woods. Then I have Oak Park and Harper Woods as rounding out my top 8. The reason why I have Seaholm there is because I really like the way Seaholm's played the last 2 games. They went into double overtime with Troy. That tells you a lot. I really like the direction that Coach Spencer Adams has that team going, despite the record. So I think with Seaholm, they're going to be fine. I really think that, despite the struggles that they've had, I think they're going to be okay. It takes a while to put a program in place, what they're doing over there at Seaholm, and I think they're going to be, I really think it's going to take some time, but I think for them, the future is bright for them, and I think they're going to be okay as we head forward. So we'll see what happens. So that's why I have Seaholm right now as my 6th best team in the white right now, behind over Oak Park and Harper Woods, despite those 2 teams beating Seaholm in the regular season. So, but I really like where Seaholm's at right now when it comes to where they are at. So we'll see what happens. Everybody, signing off here. Make sure you follow the blog at Saginaw Bay 4650 at blogspot.com for the latest information around the OAA. Also, we're going to keep an eye on the football coaching searches over at Avondale and also at Bloomfield Hills. So we'll see what happens going forward. We're going to sign off here. Take care. God bless. I'll see y'all next week. Take care. I'll see y'all then. Of course, next week we have Adams coach Joel Malberg coming into the podcast to talk basketball. So stay tuned to that. So I'll see y'all next week. God bless and God bless all.